So there's this report here by the denverchannel.com about the El Pueblo Boys and Girls Club. There's this Andrew Herndon. He's just talking about the Boys and Girls Club. This is loading really slow, so I'll just say what he said. And it said essentially he was being put in holds and restraints. They weren't medicating them, overly sedating others. They didn't have food. They were constantly running out of food. Here's where he gets into it. And he says, most of the staff were heavy and I was really little. I couldn't breathe, and when I would struggle, the female staff would pinch me and make me stop, and then the male staff would either choke me, like put their arms around my neck and choke me. Some staff would dig their elbows into my back. Some staff would even knee strike me, elbow strike me, said Samuel Mitchell. There hasn't been much coverage. There's been some talk about it, but this is ridiculous. This is child abuse. This is how the county of Pueblo is treating the most vulnerable people. And it says that CDHS went ahead and canceled the license, but this shit has been going on for quite some time. Straight up child abuse. They are mentally, they have autism and shit, so they're our most vulnerable children. And they're sitting there using all these, they're treating it like a prison. They're treating it like a prison, just like the school systems. They're treating it like a prison. And that's, that one guy said, the NFL owner said that you don't want the inmates running the prison. Oh, so even if you're a multi-million-dollar football player, you're still in a prison. The oppressors tell everybody what to do. So the child abuse, I cannot stand child abuse. You're telling everybody that violence is acceptable, and they're innocent. What the hell did they do to deserve all this shit? The El Pueblo Boys and Girls Club ranch is outside of the city limits, and essentially this is the county's problem. This is the county. The state gives the county the money divvies up to the El Pueblo Boys and Girls Club. So what the fuck, county? I mean, this is the county. How come you've been ignoring child abuse for such a long time? Right? This is the three commissioners. So it'd be Garrison and then Sal and then whoever the other guy is. But three people who are not televised, we're not being told, right? The minutes are probably somewhere online, but it's not like Pueblo City where you get to actually watch the entire city meeting. So they're doing all this shit kind of secret off to the side and shit. I don't like it. And then the lack of democracy. Anyways, the county, it all comes down to the county. Who should have been investigating it? Who should have had oversight? Who should have been paying attention to all this abuse that's happening to the El Pueblo Boys and Girls Club? Pueblo County. This isn't a city issue, it's the county. There's 3 warrants out for Francisco Ramirez, 22 years old. He's got a warrant for failure to appear. The charges include motor vehicle theft, criminal impersonation, and false reporting. He's got a total bond amount is $10,000, but how did he get out? Motor vehicle theft, how did he get out to begin with? And then they're saying that Adrian Ramirez, his brother, also has a warrant for failure to comply, which includes aiding in an escape. His bond amount is $6,000. So if you want to contact Pueblo Crime Stoppers, 542-STOP-7867 or PuebloCrimeStoppers.com. If your information leads to a felony arrest, you could be eligible for a cash reward. You could be. But it doesn't say how much, and it seems like, you won't get no money for it. A group called the National Civic League, the NCL, they publish different editions of the Model City Charter, and they published the 8th edition in 2003. The Model City Charter is a model from which cities can write their own charters. So it's essentially the best of all the current practices that we have. So the 8th edition of the Model City Charter is a city manager position. And so history teaches us that the progressives changed our government in Pueblo City in 1911, and the progressives again changed it in 1954. The progressives led the movement. That's why the charter, specifically the Charter of Pueblo, is mentioned in the Colorado Constitution because of the progressives, the Republican progressives in 1911. The 1954 progressives, they wanted to switch a commission-style government, and they changed it to a city manager. Generally speaking, the arc of history tends towards justice and freedom and truth. The arc of history. So if you look at the history, we already had a bunch of mayors. We had 23 mayors when Pueblo City first began. So we had 23 mayors. And then after that, 1911 happened. Then we had a commission style of government where the executive and the legislative branch became one branch, just like the county is being run. And then in 1954, we went from the commission-style government to a city manager form of government. That is the recommendation of the model city charter to make it a city manager kind of government. And that was what the progressives did. We had a mayoral system, 23 fucking mayors. But we're like, nope, that shit ain't working. So we changed the government to commission-style based government. That didn't work, and then we went to the city manager. So we were progressing at every moment. 1911, we progressed. 1954, we progressed. In 2020, Section 6, Clause 7 of Colorado's Constitution specifically mentions Pueblo by name. It says, all provisions of the charters of the city and county of Denver and the cities of Pueblo, Colorado Springs, and Grand Junction are hereby ratified, affirmed, and validated as of their date. So Pueblo City's charter was specifically mentioned. In 1911, we got our own charter. Then 1912 is when the Home Rule Amendment was passed. So the Republican progressives was able to get a charter convention in Pueblo City in 1911, and then the progressives in the country nationwide was able to pressure the state legislature to pass a Home Rule Amendment. So the progressives of Pueblo City changed the entire Constitution of Colorado. They were pioneers, and we should celebrate these incredible pioneers. So what a slap to our progressives. We definitely have constitutional standing. There's 8 specific things for all home rule cities, but specifically Colorado's Constitution says that the Charter of Pueblo is law. You can't get more constitutionally protected than that. They specifically mention our charter, the 1911 charter, but it says that all the provisions of the charter of the city and county of Denver and the cities of Pueblo, Colorado Springs, and Grand Junction are ratified. So the Constitution ratified the 1911 charter. Therefore, our charter has lots of constitutional standing, the 8 general powers that the state gives us, and then Dylan says that anything that you need to, any essential service that you need for government to function. So we get all the express powers and then any of the powers that we need in order, the essential services of government. And that's the conservative. Dylan is the conservative, and then Cooley says we have an inherent right to govern our own affairs. Robert D. Schilling, he's a Republican. He had won Pueblo City Council's District 1 seat 2 times already. He won it in 1997 and in 2001. He served 2 consecutive terms, 8 years total, just like George Washington did. But that's not enough for Robert Schilling, okay? In the 2001 District 1 race, Robert D. Schilling beat Victoria Esquivel, his main challenger, and Joe E. Lindenmeyer. Joe E. Lindenmeyer got 404 votes, 10%. Victoria Esquivel got 1,408 votes, 34%. And Bob won by 962 votes, garnering 2,370 total votes, 57% of District 1 voters. In 2013, Bob Schilling lost to Amy Noraki by 197 votes, 48% to 52%, 3,073 votes to 3,270. He ran again in 2013, right? So he's a city councilman in 97 and 2001, and then he kind of waits for 12 years, and then he jumps in, he runs against Amy Noraki. Amy Noraki beats him by, 197 votes, kind of the skin of his chinny chin chin, right? So there is 6,000 voters, and she had just got almost 200 more voters than he did. Now, Bob Schilling's already had served 2 terms before. He's already served 8 years. And eventually, Amy Noraki is going to get recalled, and then she resigns. So they were recalling her, but she resigned before she could get recalled. In January 2015, she resigned right before the recall, and then Eric Medina and Bob Schilling were the 2 possible replacements. So do you want to recall this person? Who do you want to replace that person with? And so Bob Schilling was one of those. He won that special 2015. Schilling won that special 2015 election. Now he sits in Amy Noraki's chair for the last 2 years. That's where we're at right now. Now it's 2017. So Amy's old seat is now up for re-election. Bob Schilling wants another 4 years on top of his previous 10 years of city counciling. 8 years total, 2 years in Amy Noraki's seat, and he wants 1 more year. So you have 2 people running against the incumbent, Bob Schilling, Libertarian Michael Stapleton, 30-year-old Tommy Farrell. And Stapleton's a Libertarian, so he's against wars. He's against the war on drugs. He's for personal freedom. And there's an interesting comment about a Republican woman who I basically said I agree with his social policies, not his economic policies, and she said she agreed with his economic policies, not his social policies. That might be the reason why he wins. Now, they're all running to the right. They're all running. Tommy Farrell said he would be open to waste-to-energy programs. This is altruism. I'm just, sprinkling fairy dust on everybody. This is just a good fucking idea. So it just seems like, I don't think that Tommy Farrell has the will to get a waste-to-energy program going. I don't think he has the will to do it. So I'm going to call the current process the Tommy Farrell process, and maybe it'd be Bob Schilling. This is the Bob Schilling's way. This is the status quo. That's what Bob Schilling represents. And Sam Azad, it might be better as an Azad Schilling principle. But it hopes that we will change. This is Tommy Farrell's principle. Tommy Farrell's principle is landfills and methane. Lots and lots of methane, lots and lots of landfills, lots and lots of just burying our trash in the ground. That's the current thing. And what? You don't want to change nothing, so you want to keep it the exact same. Okay, well then the Tommy Farrell principle is Stapleton is against municipal Wi-Fi. So Michael Stapleton, even though I like, he's well-defined, he will definitely be against the war on drugs more than any of the other candidates. He's got the will. And then he even said that he would try to get a homeless shelter. So he would try to get a homeless shelter, whereas Aisha Jiren and Mark Aliff said that they didn't really give a damn about the homeless. Tommy Farrell, I think he's a progressive, but this just shows you how, when it comes to progressive politics, I'm grabbing at straws. He's a gay man, and he questioned, some things here and there, and so I'm like, well, fuck it. He's the progressive. But I don't know if he likes that label. I almost think that he would want to shake that label off. He's running as a conservative, or maybe he is a conservative. I know lots of gay men who are conservative, so Democrats fight for gay rights, and then as soon as they get up and they're doing well for themselves, they fuck over the liberals and they help out the conservatives. Tommy Farrell said that he will protect the marijuana industry. He's open to waste-to-energy programs. He said it 2 or 3 times, but he keeps on saying the same objection that I had. So when I was saying, hey, this is a good idea, but there's this one problem, then he was like, yeah, that's a real big problem. That's a real big problem. So you got to be very careful when you're talking to him. Always be pitching something. You can't just have a conversation with the guy, and it's almost like you can't wait to say no. So that's not good. That's not good enough for me. Waste to energy. Do you got the fucking will to get a waste to energy program? Do you got the fucking will to do it? Tommy Farrell, I don't know if you do. So the Tommy Farrell principle is landfills and methane. And if he winds up losing, then it'll be put on Bob Schilling. Okay? So I would say that Tommy Farrell's the lesser of all the evils, but he's not, he's a left of center maybe person. I don't know. He could be a conservative. I don't even know what his actual stance is. He strikes me as a conservative. Schilling's going to protect the marijuana legalization too. He's taking credit for shutting the recycling center down. Locals had protested, so he was like, well, that's democracy, right? So we're against recycling centers. There was going to be a recycling center that was going into one of these neighborhoods, and Bob Schilling shut it down. I'm mixed about that. Recycling centers should be a good thing. Why would you not want a recycling center in your neighborhood? It provides jobs, and it's recycling. You're cleaning up the trash issues. But the people and the locals didn't want that, so they shut it down. Enough Puebloans signed a petition, so that means Schilling can be moved, which is kind of a good thing. But he's undermined alternative energy plans. He's basically been a Black Hills and a coal industry shill, said a citizen, John. He's especially averse to supporting solar power, going so far as to claim that investing in solar is a bad idea because of all the coal jobs we'd lose. Again, according to the citizen. Schilling has very good political acumen. Bob Schilling has extremely good political acumen. I think his seat is, he's got 2 challengers, right? Now, he could just storm up the middle, or maybe the other 2 could be, and the other ones storm up the middle, but they're all Republicans. They're all right-wing Republicans, very, very conservative Republicans. And they are not for new ideas. They don't seem to be for waste to, actually, I disagree. Michael Stapleton is in favor of trash incinerators and looking at waste to electricity ideas. I posted something about turning shit into electricity, and he had liked that. So this Michael Stapleton seems to be more interested in turning waste into electricity than Tommy Farrell. I think they both would probably be better than Bob Schilling. Bob Schilling represents the status quo. He's the current Republican. He's the incumbent. He seems like an old person, an old man, just, spouting off wisdom to the masses. You need a sense of humor. Even though I feel like he's a progressive, I don't know. I think that's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. He's a gay man, so I assumed he was progressive. But that's the thing. I'm drawing at straws. I'm sick of fucking Democrats pretending to be progressives, but really they're right-wing conservatives. Same thing with Jason Muniz. Jason Muniz has been a huge disappointment. He has no platform whatsoever. He did mention that he was in favor of a homeless shelter, but after he said all this Republican shit, right? First, we got to get them jobs. We got to give them programs. We got to do this. We got to do that. And then at the end, okay, maybe we'll get a fucking shelter. Maybe we'll get a shelter. Does he have the political will to get the damn shelter? I asked specifically Michael Stapleton, do you got the political will to get us a shelter? And he said, yes, he does. And so I believe him. I believe Michael Stapleton is an honest man. You know, he's essentially taken a lot of heat because he's a principled man and he has principled beliefs. He's got a moral constitution. So he believes in a morality. He believes in principles. Personally, my gut reaction is to go against the incumbent. We got a 95% incumbency rate, so they're so entrenched in power. They have all the advantages. And 95%, that's ridiculous, right? In the county, you had 100% of the school board members were reelected, 100%, so it's even worse, the incumbency rate out there. That's why they want to meddle in the city's elections, because we actually want to make decisions here, and we have, candidates that we could compare and contrast. No such discussion is being held out in the county, and also no such discussion is being held with the Civil Service Commission nor the Water Board member. So we only have one candidate that was running. Dottie Calhoun had criticized Charlotte Macalusa because she was the only applicant that put her application in for superintendent. That's very suspicious, but that also was the same thing with Troy Davenport. And so we're not having this conversation. So you get Brian Mader, he's an asshole that would be like, oh, look at these candidates. But if you get appointed behind the scenes, Brian Mader don't touch you. I don't believe that the government should have a monopoly on any industry. The only thing that I believe, it's a compromise. So I think that the government should have a hand in something. So in Somerset, Kentucky, they had bought a gas station. One gas station, the government of Somerset bought, the city of Somerset bought a gas station to prevent price gouging. So they were going to sell the gas at cost with just, a tiny little percentage markup. And they were going to sell that cost, and the point was to prevent price gouging. So it was totally to stop the other companies from charging as much as they could possibly get away with. So by having a government player in there, it actually, was a moderating sort of voice in the conversation of economics. So this is a good thing. This is a good thing. I like this. This is like the problem with Obamacare was the mandate. But if we had government insurance, if we had public option, I would buy that immediately. As soon as I got here, I got my water, and I got, there's municipal water. So if people are against municipal-owned anything, are you against municipal water? You're going to sell municipal water? You're going to sit there and say you're against municipal Wi-Fi? Well, what about municipal trash? What about municipal electricity? I think all those things would be incredible. That would be great. Our electricity prices would go down. Our internet prices would go down. Our trash prices would go down, and maybe we'd actually get some of these recycling centers, they're free, you drop it off, and they want your stuff so they can turn it around and make some money and make some energy out of this. How come we don't have this shit? Instead, we're all fighting over, these private companies, and all it is do you want us to pick up your trash? Well, maybe we'll pick up your trash, maybe we won't. And it's like, Jesus Christ. So, and you know what we have here? We got municipal golf courses. So you want to be against, municipal Bob Schilling, right? The Elmwood Golf Course, the Walking Stick Golf Course. They got Super Tuesdays. My God, look how cheap it is. Super Tuesdays. Only $25 on Tuesdays. And that's with a cart, right? 18 holes in a cart, $25. My God, this is amazing. Elmwood Golf Course, Walking Stick Golf Course. They operate on their own, but we bailed them out before, and $72,000 we spent to get them in air conditioning. These are owned by the City of Pueblo, the City of Pueblo Municipal Golf Courses. So we don't have municipal trash, we don't have municipal electric, we don't have municipal Wi-Fi, we do have municipal golf courses. We have socialized golf courses. So we got socialism for the rich. That's what Bob Schilling represents, the status quo. We got socialism for the rich, for the wealthy. We got socialized golf courses. They'll subsidize golf courses. They don't, that's okay, but they won't subsidize grocery stores or internet or trash or electricity because they don't give a fuck about you. PEDCO. Check out PEDCO. That's socialism for the rich. $3 million goes to L3 Dulce, right? We're just giving all these corporations all those fucking millions of dollars. They pocket that money. They might provide 1 or 2 jobs, and then they get the hell out of Dodge. Just like the Sperry Corporation with Fred Weisbrod. So Super Tuesdays and Thursdays, midday matinee. There's a matinee now. I don't even understand what the hell that's supposed to mean. But the Walking Stick Golf Course, 719-553-1180. The Elmwood Golf Course, 719-561-4946. We have a government that believes in socialism for the corporations. Talk about being anti-American, right? The Pueblo Chieftain is a monopoly. They're anti-America. They don't believe in Americans. Direct democracy means the people, the American people, actually have a voice, but they're against the people. The Pueblo Chieftain is against the people. Their criticism on Josh Bruns was that he's for direct democracy, so therefore he's against American principles. Get the fuck out of here. These days right here, $25 days, right? These $25 days, these are the cheap days. $25, that's no poor people. Nobody poor is going to the golf courses. This is for middle class. This is for rich people, middle class and rich people. So that's what we have, socialism for the wealthy. We got PEDCO. We give the businesses and corporations the whatever money they need to in order to provide jobs. If they provide jobs, who knows? Who gives a shit, right? And then the municipal golf courses. We'll bail out the golf courses. We'll spend $72,000 for their air conditioners. Meanwhile, there's no air conditioning in some of our schools, but we're going to give an air conditioning to the golf course people, right? To the wealthy people. That's where they make all the big business deals. That's where your Trumps and all your, plutocrats, the plutocrats and the bankers and the 1%, everybody who owns your stupid ass, they go to these golf courses, the Elmwood Golf Course and the Walking Stick Golf Course. I know you don't go because you're too poor to go, and it's fucking golf, right? So Bob Schilling in a nutshell, right? People, let's just keep on, everything needs to stay the same. Bob Schilling has been financing municipal golf courses in his entire political career. So he believes in municipal golf. He don't believe in municipal electric or municipal trash or municipal Wi-Fi. He does believe in municipal golf, and he believes in PEDCO, so he believes in giving these big-ass corporations a big fat fucking check. Meanwhile, we got starving people. We got people that don't have grocery stores, homelessness, poverty, crime. I mean, there's lots of shit that people need out here, and a golf course it almost reminds me of Jason Muniz's opera, right? When Jason Muniz fails, that's going to be a horrible headline. The fat lady has sung, and the fat lady has been singing on the poor and the homeless classes for quite some time. We got socialism for the rich, and then people want to get pissed off at Josh Bruns because he thinks that the government should share its wealth with the working, poor, and homeless classes.